So how do you start an Amazon store that generates at least $100 a day in profit? In this video, I'm going to walk you through the process from A to Z. Here's an Amazon store that we manage. It's produced hundreds of thousands of dollars selling random items like you see here. If you didn't know, we offer an automation service, and it's a great option for those of you who have capital, but you don't want to spend the time and energy that it traditionally takes to grow an e-commerce business. If you want to learn more about our automation service, check out the description below this video. But let's get back into the education. So the first step in this process is you need to set up an LLC. Sure, you could sign up for an Amazon seller account as an individual, but Amazon prefers to work with businesses, and that's clear because they provide business accounts with more benefits. Another reason why you need an LLC is suppliers. Legitimate wholesale suppliers like the ones that we use will only sell products to businesses. If you've never set up an LLC before, I suggest that you use a company like Prime Corporate Services. They can help you get your LLC activated fast. I personally have used them, and I refer all my clients to Prime Corporate Services because they do a great job. Not only will they help you with an LLC formation, but they also focus on tax saving strategies, business funding, and asset protection. I highly suggest that you work with them. The link to their site is in the description as well. So once your LLC is set up, the next thing you need to do is file for a reseller permit. You may be thinking, what is a reseller permit and why do I need one? A reseller permit is the documentation you need to avoid paying taxes on items that you're going to resell to customers. The sales tax for an item only needs to be paid once, and it's paid by the end customer, not you as the seller. A reseller permit lets your suppliers know that you are licensed to sell the items and that they can sell them to you without collecting the sales tax from you. Most suppliers will require a reseller's permit before they will do business with you. So once you have an LLC and a reseller permit, you need to create your Amazon seller account. You head over to the Seller Central site, you click sign up, and you follow the steps. Amazon will prompt you to create an account with your business information, and they will require you to submit your ID. And they may even schedule a video call with you to confirm your identity. Once you've been approved and verified, you will need to upgrade to a Seller Pro account. Seller Pro gives you the ability to sell products in more categories, and it's about $40 per month. The reality is this is just a cost to do business with Amazon. Once your Amazon seller account is live, you will have the ability to list and sell products. So the question is, where do you find profitable products? Before I tell you where to find them, I think it's important to explain the difference between FBA and two-step dropshipping, which is technically FBM. So FBA stands for Fulfillment by Amazon. You buy products, you send them into an Amazon fulfillment center, and Amazon handles the orders, returns, and cancellations on your behalf. FBM stands for Fulfillment by Merchant. You buy products and you handle the orders, returns, and cancellations. Now that you understand the difference between FBA and FBM, let me explain how our two-step dropshipping model works. And again, keep in mind this is technically FBM. So there are tons of products that are both sold on Walmart and Amazon, and they have a price discrepancy. Same product, but a different price. Here's an example of one of those products. We sourced this garden hose reel for $64 on Walmart.com, and we are currently selling it for $90 on an Amazon store. Here's an in-depth breakdown on the profits. So the first thing we need to factor in is the Amazon platform fee, which is 15%. 15% of a $90 sale is $13.50. That $13.50 goes to Amazon, and this is how they make their money. So we've got a $90 sale minus the $13.50 Amazon platform fee, which means that we're left with $76.50. Now we need to factor in our source price of that particular item, which is $64. $76.50 minus $64, which is the source price, equals $12.50. And then we need to factor in the shipping label, which is $5. So $12.50 minus the $5 shipping label equals $7.50. That $7.50 is the true net profit on that particular item. We've developed proprietary strategies to identify products like I just showed you with price discrepancies between the platforms, and here's how we profit off of them. We source and purchase products from online retailers like Walmart.com. Typically, we buy anywhere from 5 to 10 units of a product up front using a credit or debit card, and we have Walmart ship those products to a 3PL facility. If you're not familiar with that terminology, 3PL stands for third-party logistics. It's essentially a warehouse ran by another team. They strictly focus on order fulfillment. Once the products arrive at the 3PL, they usually sell out within 1 to 2 weeks. You know what? I'm going to do something special. Let's head on over to one of our 3PLs and I'll explain how the two-step FBM model works in greater detail.
Over the years, the Amazon marketplace has changed. Being an Amazon seller has become progressively harder as the terms of service have gotten more strict. We used to be able to do drop shipping, just using a supplier such as Walmart and then sending this type of box directly to the Amazon customer, but Amazon started suspending and terminating accounts that did that. So we built this new strategy, which is called two-step drop shipping. And let me explain how this works. This package, it's in a blank box, right? There's no branding, no logos on it. This package and this package both contain the same product, but the blank box is compliant, and I'll explain why. Amazon does not want to support their competition. They don't want their customers to receive a box from another supplier, online retailer such as Walmart. So we have a product from Walmart. It is then shipped to a 3PL facility like you see here. This place is about 20,000 square feet. The item is put into a blank box with a new seller slip, which makes you the seller of record, and then it's sent to the Amazon customer. We typically see about 10 to 20% profit margins on products when it's all said and done, leveraging this two-step drop shipping strategy. You could also call it FBM, fulfillment by merchant, because we're the merchant at the point it goes out from here. Customer has no idea that the product was originally from Walmart. They just see the product with the seller slip, and that's fully compliant per Amazon's terms of service. So we've adapted over time. Again, it used to be the wild, wild west where you could use these Walmart branded boxes, and that was easy because it would just be like, all right, product on Amazon, it sells, Walmart fulfills, and you're done. But things changed. So we changed with those terms of service to adapt, to stay compliant, and to stay very profitable. So I just wanted to give you a breakdown on how this two-step dropshipping model works. It's real, it's profitable, and we can help you do it.
All right, so now you understand how the two-step FBM model works. We find profitable products from online retailers. We buy small batches of inventory and have it shipped to a 3PL. The products are repackaged in a blank box with a new packing slip, and then they are sent to the end customer. This is a very simple and effective way to create cash flow. As I mentioned earlier, we typically use a credit card or debit card, but preferably credit to purchase inventory. A lot of our automation clients use an Amex card as working capital, and that's because as you spend more, they tend to keep on increasing your limits. Plus, you get access to extra benefits like cash back or travel points, depending on which card you use. All right, now I think it's time we switch gears and talk about FBA. So the first thing you need to do is find reputable suppliers, because without suppliers, you don't have product. And if you don't have product, you can't make money. Look, I'll be honest with you, finding the right suppliers can be very challenging, and here's why. Some suppliers have slow or unpredictable delivery times. Some suppliers are shady and will actually try to steal your money. Some suppliers have products that are not selling well on Amazon. Some suppliers do not have consistent inventory, and some suppliers are not even approved by Amazon. But the good news is, if you decide to take advantage of our automation service, you will get access to our vetted supplier list. We put you in direct contact with the suppliers that we use to source and purchase winning products at deep discounts. This will save you a lot of time, energy, and potentially money in the long run. Again, if you'd like to learn more about our automation service, head down to the description below. So unfortunately, I'm not going to cover how we found the suppliers we currently work with. We keep that information private because we don't want to create more competition. I mean, obviously, I want to help you, but at the same time, I need to protect our business. Hopefully, you respect that. Look, I'm doing my best to come out with content as frequently as possible, talking about e-commerce, investing, and other interesting ways to generate income. So make sure that you subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of the value-packed content that I come out with. And also, if you like this video that you're watching right now, do me a favor and smash the like button. It helps content like this gain a bit more traction with the YouTube algorithm. So getting back into it, once you find a supplier, you need to analyze their inventory to find out what's worth purchasing. You don't want to invest money into products that don't sell or sell at a slow rate. So I'm going to bring on my partner, Chris, And together, we are going to explain how we do analysis to determine whether or not a product is a winner or a loser, how we purchase products from suppliers and have them shipped to an Amazon fulfillment center, and the time frame it takes to realize profits on product flips. Now, Chris, a lot of people want to know how to find winning products. So, can you please help simplify the process?
There's really only a couple things that you need to look for to make sure that a product is profitable and that it's actually going to be an item that you want to sell in your actual Amazon seller account, because there's some items that even though they're profitable, you do want to stay away from. And it's all about finding the first thing is a good supplier, right? The supplier relationship is where your inventory is going to be coming from, and you want to make sure that you can get it from a good source that asks you for documentation, that is a legit source. You can see it from their website. And then we'll go ahead and look at also the metrics on why the item is profitable. And then lastly, even though the item is profitable, we have to make sure that you can actually move that item on the marketplace, because there's no point in buying an item that is 300% profitable, but you actually cannot sell it on the marketplace because there's no market for it, right? No one's looking for that item. It's not a moving item on the Amazon marketplace. So I think if we stick with those three things, it'll make things pretty simple. I don't really have to do a lot of preliminary product research on this because I know that Clorox is a brand that is going to move no matter where you sell it, right? So that kind of eliminates a little bit of the hunt on there. And so I can look here and I can see if the price is $17.37 a unit, right? And so what I want to do is I want to make sure that I can then go ahead and sell this on the marketplace like Amazon. This photo and this image might look a little different. So if that kind of off puts you, that's totally fine. At the end of the day, we're looking at a bottle of 121-ounce Clorox. That's what's important. The images might change from time to time, but this is the item. All right. And if we look here, we can see that it's actually selling for $34.48. So that's probably almost double the price that is selling for on the supplier. And the reason that exists is because it's a wholesale price, right? So you're buying in bulk, you're buying in a wholesale price. So that gives them the ability to charge you a lot less for the item than if you were to buy this item here, for example, right? Or buy it on Walmart or anywhere on a retail site. It's going to be a lot cheaper because you're buying it in bulk. We got the two most important things. Is it selling on Amazon and can I source it? Now, the third thing I want to do is figure out kind of just how well this product is moving. This is a software that's called Keepa. It is a software that essentially tracks how the price is selling over X amount of time. And it allows me to see how stable this price is in the Amazon buy box. Now, all the Amazon buy box is fancy for is this box right here. Whatever store is in this little box right here, which is flip cost, whoever that is, that's the person that's getting the sale. Amazon rotates this on their own, and they only really decide a couple things on your price, on your ratings. You can't really control it, right? But just know that this is the Amazon buy box. And this graph here tells us how stable that Amazon buy box price is. So you can see pretty much over the past entire year, this thing has sold for around 30 to 36 bucks. The other thing I want to show you guys here is something that everybody has access to, whether you have any software or not, and that's going to be the BSR, which is called the best sellers rank. This is essentially the number that tells us how quickly this item is moving on the Amazon marketplace. Anything below 200,000 is really, really, really good. Anything below 300,000 is good. So we're almost 100,000 below where we're supposed to be. The closer the number is to zero, the more ridiculous and crazy that it sells, right? But there's another number associated with that as well, and that's the category that it's in. So health and household. So this is actually almost 3,000 in health and household. So 2,795 in all-purpose cleaners, as we would expect, because Clorox is a big brand, it's a household name, and so a lot of people are looking for it. So it's extremely low within the subcategory and just very low in general on Amazon. So a lot of people are searching for this item. On top of that, it has a lot of good reviews. So we don't really have a lot of negative stuff going on with this item right now. We know where we can source it. We know where we can sell it. We know exactly that there's a margin there, and we know that it's moving. So here we can kind of see other people that are offering the same item on the listing, right? There isn't too many given the brand, but over here, it's going to tell you how many have sold. This one seller alone has sold 8,478 of these. This guy has sold 10,000. Some of these one-off sellers, maybe they have a couple of units, 75, 88 here, 80 units. This guy sold 17,600. So there's a couple of like big power sellers on here, and the majority probably just got their hands on some units from somewhere. Now it doesn't tell us the exact number for the 30-day period, but if you do math alone in the past 10 months, selling 37,000 of these things, 36,000 of them, even if you just divide that by 12, that's thousands of units a month. Plenty of space to be able to sell there. Now, if I want to look at the actual competition of who I'm competing with, I'm going to go ahead and go over to the other sellers on the Amazon marketplace. Now, keep in mind that I really only care about the people who are selling FBA, Logan, because if I'm competing with these other people who are just third-party sellers, I don't really care because I'm going to pretty much take buy box precedent over them 90% of the time because Amazon wants to push my products that are in their warehouse because the Amazon themselves knows that they can get them to the customer on their dime and they know exactly when it's going to get there compared to a third party seller where they can still be good, but it could be, USPS might screw up. The seller is responsible for getting the item there. So they're going to always push FBA a little more. And in this case, it doesn't even look like we have any FBA sellers here. Let me make sure. You can see where it says ships from Flipcost, ships from DoubleClick, ships from Brickstar. So if this was an FBA, if these were all FBA sellers, it would say ships from Amazon, right? It would say sold by, but then it would also say ships from Amazon. But these are all shipping from third-party websites. So if I was to jump on this listing, it means that I would be the only one selling from the Amazon facility. And that gives me a huge advantage, right? Some of these stores are massive, 30,000 ratings, 45,000 ratings, but I don't really care because I don't have 20,000 units. I might only buy, 300, 400 units, right? Go in there, sell my item, get my profit and leave. Put everything back into focus here, Logan. We found this item. It's a popular house name brand. We found it that was selling on Amazon for nearly double the price. We saw that it has great metrics in terms of how much it's moving per month, what our competition is, and actually how viable it is for you to buy a certain amount of units and get rid of it quickly, right? And then we saw who we're competing with, which is not a lot of competition that would be against our FBA status, which means that we can move it a lot faster.
That was very insightful. I'm sure that the people watching this learned quite a bit there. So the next thing I want to talk about, or I want us to cover, is specifically how product is purchased from a supplier. Obviously, we work with our clients, our automation clients, to help them create a purchase order with the supplier. Just kind of walk through the process that we go through with our clients when they're ready to purchase inventory from a supplier.
Once you already have the relationship with the supplier, and in this case, I would select the product that it is, and I would add the quantity that I want. So sometimes a lot of these have like a minimum order quantity, right? So, let's say I would be ordering, I don't know, let's say 344 units, for example, right? So I would add this to my list, and then this particular supplier would verify that they have the amount that I need or want in stock. And then they would come back to me with an invoice and an email, and they would say, hey, this is your order total for the cost of this specific item, and here's what you need to pay us. And they'll either say, wire us, pay through credit card, whichever payment method the supplier works with, and they have established with you, you'll make the payment. Some suppliers might say, hey, we're going to get this item in stock next week, right? So we'll ship it out as soon as we get it. Sometimes it's on hand, which is even better. But just to familiarize yourself with a little bit of how the wholesale industry works is sometimes they'll sell you things they don't have yet because they're going to get them. But in this case, let's say they already have it available. They'll send me the invoice, I'll pay the invoice, and typically I can expect shipping within 3 to 5 days at most. And so at that point, they'll give me the invoice that I used to pay for the products, right? They'll have a record of that, and they'll go ahead and do one of two things. They will either ship the item over to Amazon's facility directly, or they'll ship the item into my 3PL, third-party logistics warehouse, so that I can pack it and prep it the way Amazon needs it to be. So the reason why that's important is because not all warehouses or wholesale distribution centers will pack this for you. Some of them, they just want to get the product out and over to you. They won't necessarily prep it for you because Amazon has certain ways that they want their inventory prepped, especially if it's hazmat. this item more than likely classifies for potentially hazmat because it is a chemical, right? So maybe they want it packaged in a certain plastic bag in a certain way, right? And so we know those rules. Depending on how big that supplier works with Amazon, they may or may not know that. So in a case of where they don't, they would just ship it to my 3PL first. And that's all that would happen. Once it's at my 3PL, I get the item, I inspect it for any damage, I pack it, put my label on it, and then I go ahead and ship it out to Amazon. And once it receives confirmation that Amazon has it in their facility, from there, Amazon activates the item for sale and it starts selling. Amazon from that point will deal with logistics, customer service, shipping, delays, any of that stuff will be dealt with on their end. So as far as I'm concerned, I just need to make sure I buy it in a timely manner from my wholesaler and I get it from my wholesaler to Amazon directly, or if I need to get it to my warehouse first and then get it over to Amazon.
All right. So when working with a supplier, you identify a profitable product by utilizing some software, looking at the data. You figure out how many units you want, add that to cart, an invoice is created, you pay the invoice, and then the supplier either sends it into an Amazon fulfillment center or to a 3PL. And let's quickly talk about those timeframes. How long does it take for products to go from a supplier to an Amazon fulfillment center if it's sent direct?
As far as what timeline it takes, it's going to vary between the suppliers, right? And so this is where the wholesale industry kind of gets its complications because some suppliers are very quick. They get their payment. Once it clears, they get the item to Amazon's facility in maybe a week to 10 days, right? That would be an ideal period of time. Now, some suppliers, they take longer. Some suppliers could take, between 2 weeks to 3 weeks just to get their items into Amazon's facility. That is going to vary, but that's why you can ask the supplier those things before you purchase from them, because knowing the lead time is better than buying it and expecting 1 week lead time and then getting like 3 to 4 week lead time, right? So you can always ask your supplier what their lead times usually are. It might be item specific, right? But at least if you can narrow that down on the listing, then you'll know and you can expect it. So generally speaking, you can have a week to up to 4 weeks.
And now let's talk about the time frame to sell out of the actual item. With a winning product like this Clorox concentrated germicidal bleach, how long do you think it would take to sell through 100 units of this particular product?
As soon as it hits Amazon's facility, you would be selling it within a couple weeks. I mean, this could probably sell within 2 weeks if you had just 100 units. So if you're looking at kind of like a timeline of from when you spend the money versus like when you sell it and when you get paid, I would probably say you buy the item January 1st, item gets into Amazon's facility probably around like the 16th or the 17th of January. From there, another 2 weeks to sell it. And then probably looking at like maybe February 8th to 12th is when you get your money back. Now, keep in mind that as it sells, you're also getting paid from Amazon. So I'm just giving you a overview of like getting all of your money back, right? Because Amazon does hold a little bit of funds to make sure that that they cover any returns or any of those smaller liabilities there. So by the time it's like you buy the item completely and get all of your money out after it sells, that's kind of a good timeline there.
So at the beginning of this video, I told you that I'd show you how to start an Amazon store that generates at least $100 a day in profit. I followed through with that promise and I walked you guys through our step-by-step process that has generated us millions in sales. So at this point, you have two options. Option one, you can go tackle the e-commerce industry on your own. And if you decide to do that, best of luck. Or option two, you can work with our team and we will help you build a profitable store. I want to make this clear though, this is not some get rich quick scheme. This is a legitimate business and it will take time to grow your sales. If we're looking at averages, typically our clients are profiting between $5,000 to $7,000 per month within 6 months of their store going live. And we do manage stores that produce significantly more income. Like this store generated over $1 million in sales for the year, and our client pocketed over $200,000 after all expenses. And this is a passive business. They're just approving inventory purchases and managing the working capital. So again, you've got two options. You can do things by yourself or you can work with us. If you do want to work with us, head down to the description of this video and you will see a link to my site where you can schedule a call directly with me.